Again, on special assignment, we're told, Tom Brenneman, but he'll be back with us next week. In the first match today at Harrison Bowl, we're going to be seeing a couple of new faces. Well, one new.
Oh, yes, we're going to see Tom Kasee, who won the roll-off. He had a 707 series, and he's going to go up against the young Brian Himmler, who had a 740.
Brian Himmler is quite a bowler. Tom Kasee, very, very experienced on the lanes. Youth against experience in match number one. Match number two, what do we got, Jen?
Oh, we got Steve Miner, who had a fine series of 744. And then they'll go on to meet our king, Don Scudder.
Don Scudder and crew will be right back in just a few moments. Please stay tuned.
Greater Cincinnati BPA 14K King of Bowling.
We're here, week number 2. WLW, the BPA and 14K. Good combination, hard to beat. 24-lane establishment in Harrison, Ohio.
It's hard to beat this combination here in our first game. The very youthful Brian Himmler versus the very, very experienced Tom Kasee.
It's a great matchup too, Jen, for a couple of reasons. The youth will show the aggressiveness. You people have never seen Brian Himmler on TV before. You've seen Tom Kasee. Been around for a lot of years. Got a lot of honor award scores, and Jen will go into those later. But the experience, the little less ball speed, little less hook, Tom Kasee. Now, hold on to your seats, folks. This guy you're getting ready to look at is 15 years old, and stay out of the way.
He is very aggressive. He's come a long way just in about 2 years. Very quickly to the height of his game, perhaps. A little more experience and
again, we do not recommend trying any of these things at home. Let's take a look at the release. We'll be talking about it all day, and it is just awesome. First ball of the match, he just rips it. Look at his arm swings, even out of frame. It's so high. Now at the bottom, just maximum lift, maximum turn. The powerful striking ball makes money. So does the accurate bowler with heavy roll. Just comes down to who can make the most best shots. Picks up the 4-7 cross lane.
And this week, of course, we are coming to you from Harrison Bowl. And our representative here today is Rick Nauman. We also have with us Tom Murphy, the president of the BPA, and also Gary Rolfus from Durban Bowl. And he is on the tournament committee should any problems arise, which we don't anticipate.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Okay, reared up on that shot a little bit. The 2-4-5 is the shot that we see when the ball goes wide. Again, Brian Himmler throws the big, big hook. Powerful turning ball. Also the one that can get you into trouble. Being his first time on television, Jen, what do you think?
I have no prediction. I'm not going out on a limb.
Can't get you.
I think that if he can loosen up with a couple of strikes, I think he could be invincible.
Yeah.
But it's going to be how late is he going to get started.
Exactly. Experienced way to shoot the spare. The big hook bowler that can flatten the ball out and throw it hard at the multi-pin spare will make more spares than trying to hook it. I'll point for you guys at home, you gals that would like to try that. Yeah, I think you're right. I think as soon as he loosens up a little bit, he should be okay. But Tom Kasee has had a lot of action already this morning, Jen.
Yes, indeed. We had a double roll-off this morning because Kevin Brady and Steve Bruck, I believe it was, or no, it was Tom Kasee and Kevin Brady who tied and had to roll off 268. Kasee was the winner over Brady, 232. And then he went on to beat Steve Bruck, 216 to 215.
So he's got 2 wins under his belt already coming into this match, folks. So maybe that momentum can carry him through. But again, the carry is going to be a factor here, I'm pretty sure. The lanes are playing nicely, and both players, well, Tom appears to be lined up here, and Brian will be right behind him. Look out. Ooh. extra coat of lacquer on that pin didn't hurt.
Not the usual Tom Kasee cover that we're used to, but nonetheless it went. So we've got 4 spares so far, 2 apiece through 2 frames. I would say any minute now we're going to get a strike.
There we go. I hope. Again, once again, we're our tandem today is normally the Three Musketeers -1 today is Tom Brenneman again on special assignment. We actually think he's goofing off somewhere, but he'll be back next week to join us. And there you see it. Tom Kasee splatters the left lane, 10 in the pit.
Yeah, Tom, that little beach bum, I'm sure. Of course, he'll come back saying that he's, worked so hard and the weather was terrible. But the Bengals, we'll see.
Yeah, well.
We'll know.
Brian Himmler, right lane. Look out. This is one of the ones you want to see. Again, not the real hard break that we're normally used to seeing. That 5-pin that fell to the right normally goes flying off to the left to rip the 7 out. That's a Wally. And Brian Himmler, that should loosen him up a little bit for the left lane. Both players strike in the 3rd frame. 2-pin advantage to the kid.
Just speaking of Tom Brenneman, Brian Himmler goes to his alma mater, Anderson High School. He's in the 10th grade there. Tom will be happy to hear about that.
Again, the wall shot again, a slap of the hands with the emotions. You can tell that the kid wants to be in it. Take a look at the screen.
He just splattered that head pin from left to right, clearing anything and all things that got in its way of striking for the double up in the 4th. Tom Kasee's going to try and work on a double of his own here. Not quite the Wally.
Exactly. The power is going to be the difference. The big turning ball that's going to throw the pins around and apply the spin. For Brian that carried, did not do so for Tom Kasee, leaving the 7-pin. He'll shoot this cross lane, Jen.
Tom Kasee has 5 300s to his credit. And likewise, Brian Himmler does have a 300 also. Brian has on his stats here, he started bowling at the age of 3.5.
Boy, I tell you.
3.5. I didn't think you could even pick up a ball at 3.5. That just goes to show you bowling is for every age.
Well, like
it is a fun sport.
It definitely is, Jen, and most of the establishments, as we point out in one of our tips, they have the 6-pound balls for the youngsters, and I bought one for my son. He started when he was 4. On his 4th birthday, I got him the ball, and he's 4.5 now, and still bowling. And he's averaging about 52.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's
pretty
great.
good.
Oh, he loves it.
Way to go, David.
He loves it, really. There you go, Mr. Kasee, the accurate shot that you really like to see out of a heavy roll player. Left lane, let's take a look at it. This will be the best shot Tom's thrown so far today. Good extension, great knee bend. No deflection here, folks. 10 in the pit. Every pin doing its job, and Brian Himmler with a double working up on the right lane. Watch the face on him. You don't think this kid is intense? Look at the eyes. All the way up. It's like...
Boy, oh boy. He's got it.
It's just, when you're maxed out, it's pretty tough to change something. Take a look at this on the replay. Those eyes are something. Fixed on his mark, he is just, now watch him just grit through the ball, rip the bottom out. It's going to send a head pin, center your screen to the left wall. It comes off the wall, wedges into the 4, and then kicks out the 7. That's the big turn. That's the big power.
He's making my prediction come true, too.
Yeah.
Look at that, sending to the right, trusting it, just freewheeling.
I think we're going to hang you with a Jennifer factor if he doesn't strike on this one here. Ah, the Jennifer factor
darn.
for 89. Here it is. I'm going to unsaddle myself from that one for this year.
Just ripped 10.
Yeah, he actually threw a more accurate shot that time, and the power of the ball sent the 6-pin up and around the neck of the 10.
Brian is a 2-time Ohio Junior Masters champion, and for each of those years, he got $2,000 worth of scholarship.
No kidding?
He's got the state high series game and average for the YABA.
Huh. It means he has got a couple of bucks on the books at a college of his choice, huh?
You got it. That's terrific.
Dude's buying. If he was old enough, right? 15 years old. And he's a nice fellow. I tell you, I didn't know Brian until just about a year ago now, and he's just a very personable fellow. As you can see, folks, he's very aggressive. But Tom Kasee, believe me, is just a big heart when it comes to competition. There you go. That's absolutely perfect.
You know, I watched Tom in the roll-offs, and he was incredible. Every time he needed the strike, he was right there.
Watch this on the replay, folks. 7's going to be the last one out, but it's not because Tom did anything wrong. Head pin goes back. That's the 2-pin going to the wall, comes off, boom, out of there. And even if the 9-pin would have stood, it wouldn't be anymore. Tom Kasee, double working.
We have a 7-pin lead by Tom Kasee.
The mixer, again, advantage Himmler. I tell you what, you just do not put any more on a ball than he does. Tom Kasee's going to have to rely on what has been his forte all of these years, Jen, and that's splitting your target, hitting your mark with a good heavy roll, and filling the pocket up. It doesn't look like the lanes are going to yield that mixing strike to Tom today. See it, Jen.
Strike up in the 6 will give Himmler 136, which would give him an 8-pin lead. And, of course, the all-important strike advantage. I think if he can go light, he can definitely carry.
Well, he's proven that on 3 occasions, yes, and then you know, filled the hole up and left that ring 10. You're absolutely right. So it's a tough thing to do to try to keep the ball a little light. You can count on him just absolutely just maxing out. Look out. Look. Hit that ball held.
From that line he's playing, really, his carry's got to be pretty good. When you get that much on, play inside, get that much on the ball. It's incredible.
Contrasting to the balls where he let out and rolled back, and it was a little light. He really stuffed it. Let's see if that was intentional. If it was, we'll see it again this frame. If not, we'll see him go a little wide and go for the mixer again. But that was just an awesome shot.
We have very comparable averages. Brian averaging 216. That's a composite average. And Tom Kasee averaging 217.
Talk about the revolutions maxed out. Last frame was a mistake. He tugged it. This is what he wants to do. Give it room. Watch it on the replay. He is going to torque it up, folks. Rips the bottom out of the ball, sends it to the right. Now give it a little body English coming back. Head pin goes to the wall. There ain't nothing to knock down, Brian. Didn't even need it. Looking at the sheet with the double up, and the 7-pin advantage actually becomes 17. Kasee with a spare in the 7. He's got a strike here. Great shot from Tom Kasee. Tom Kasee, this is his best strike. He's getting a little better now. Great extension, 5-pin, second one back in the middle of your screen. He's going to hacksaw the 7 out. Now watch it. Now right there, the ball's going to hit the 5. There you go. Boom, out of there, 7. It was going anyway, but there was just a little precautionary measure on Tom's part.
It's a good place to start, too, the 8th frame. You get your foundation in the 8th, get one up in the 9th, and it's anybody's ball game. Put a little pressure on the youth, too.
That would be a nice thing to do. Rearing up just a bit at the foul line. Leaves the 2-4 Jen on a light hit, and Brian with the advantage of the double and the pins going in anyway. It's going to be pretty difficult for Tommy to win this match. Brian's actually going to have to give it to him.
Brian's going at a 2:20 pace, and Tom, if he strikes out even, can only get to 2:18.
Oh, Brian's going at a 2:56 pace if he takes it all the way out. You must know something we don't, Jen. He's going to leave a ring 10 here or something. Have you watched this before?
Are you going to zing me with my factor now? It's a long season to be starting that now.
Well, I got to do it before Tommy gets back because he'll get up with me. What do you think? Yep.
He's looking awfully strong.
Well, the kid's just actually doing a great. And when I call him the kid, that's affectionately, guys. Don't get upset at home. I like this guy. I like his game. He throws a lot of pins in a lot of directions, and he's going to strike a lot. And he's a remarkably good spare shooter, too, for a cranker. 256 to potential if he takes it out in the 10th frame. Obviously, if he does so, he's completely locked out. Tom Kasee.
Who in that case, would go on to meet Steve Miner.
There you go. Steve's kind of... Does he just automatically get a spot when we come here?
744 he shot. He earned it.
Yeah. There you go. That's the put away. Brian Himmler put this match out of reach. Tom Kasee will go through the motions in the 10th frame.
Okay, and once again, we'd like to tell you that the women are also qualifying for $200 each week. And today, qualifying will be conducted at Madison Bowl in Madisonville. You can call there to make a reservation, and we'd like to see some new faces. Brian just going through the motions once again. He's looking sharp. Steve Miner has got his hands full. I think Brian perhaps is a little bit looser now through one game.
Yeah,
lots of strikes.
250 would have a tendency to loosen you up a little bit. You know, he didn't even look that tense the first two frames, but it showed in his ball.
You're right.
His face. Now, look at it roll. Come on. Goodness. Whoa. Well, guys, at the poker game last night, I told you about this kid. They didn't believe me.
We have from Kingpin, our top qualifier from Saturday will be Tim George, and second place was Stan Eaton, and of course Tim George shot a fine 791 series. Stan Eaton with a 720. And low to cash right now is 603.
Jen, I crossed, I was one pair to Tim George's right when he threw the series, and that's the smoothest, cleanest release I've seen on any bowler ever. I mean, he was just he only missed the pocket once in 36 shots.
Incredible.
He's look forward to seeing him. Of course, like we make a little fun of Steve Miner when we come here because it seems like he makes the show almost every time. Tim George, likewise, when we go to Kingpin, is always a predominant threat, and Tom Kasee is normally a threat too, but this one is out of here, 208 to 256. Once again, thanks for joining us for the 14K Golden Ball contest, and this is week number 2. Nobody hit it last week, so it's worth $200. Keith, now you're going to draw our home contestant, I believe. Why don't you go see who we're going to be bowling with this time? Now, if the bowler rolls a strike, he, of course, splits the jackpot with a home viewer. If he doesn't bowl a strike, he gets a free game for every pin knockdown, plus a T-shirt. Kathy, who we got at home here we're going to be playing?
We have a Karen Dooley from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay, Karen, and our home contestant is?
Our audience contestant is Kevin Brady.
Kevin Brady, come on out, Kevin. Yeah, come on, Kevin. Well, on the left lane there, Kevin. We'll give you a shot, sure. Kevin's one of Cincinnati's better bowlers. Happened to be in the audience today, and Lost in a roll-off, as a matter of fact. See how he'll do with the golden ball. Oh, they got there to the nose. Seven of them. Well, not today, but next week, maybe $300 will be given away. Stay tuned. The Peacock. And the local representation for the Peacock, WLWT, Channel 5, the sports station in Cincinnati. Here's a station for a lot of strikes. First game, too. Brian Himmler starts this game with the kind of intensity that yielded him the 250 his first game. Whew. Steve Miner shot what here, Jen?
Oh, he had a 740. 744, correct me.
744. It's a fabulous score. And Steve really, really likes to bowl here. He's a well-schooled, disciplined bowler. Very underrated. He's done a lot of things around town. There you go. Contrasting styles. You want to see him? Well, we got him here. We got the big bowler, big cranker, and Brian Himmler, and we got Steve Miner going a little more down and in, more conventional roll. Accuracy is a key with him, and a good, powerful ball also.
He bowls here in league at Harrison Bowl. Started bowling at the age of 13. He has 2 children, Chris, and he has a little girl here. I don't see her name, but
a little wide. You could see that he lost his balance at the foul line a little bit. He's cleaning his shoe. I'm not sure that was any fault other than just a little bit too quick to the line. Let's see if we can catch it real quick here. Watch him now fall off of this shot. Right here, he should go through it. Now he's bent over too much. Starts falling off to the right. Right there you see it, and the ball goes wide. The 2-8, no problem. Cover them both with the ball, huh?
You know, correct me, Steve Miner does not have a little girl, but he does have a wife, Gail, who bowls, and his son bowls, and he's been married 15 years. Which is great.
15 years?
15 years. Don't look old enough to be married 15 years.
Really?
Brian with a strike up in the first frame.
Woman must be a saint, too. Been out with Steve a few times. Ooh.
Wow, he's just not letting up.
No,
he's going for it.
He's not going to let up, and I'll tell you what. Okay, I'll say it.
Okay.
Week number 2. I don't know what kind of car we've got out there. Let's give him a Thunderbird.
Let's give him a Thunderbird.
If he happens to shoot a 300 today, let's give him a Thunderbird. Because we'd have to give it to him. You know what? But he couldn't drive it.
Oh no, we have a problem here. Well, let's go talk to Walt Sweeney, who's been gracious enough to bring that car to us. Wow.
We have to. Maybe we can title it in his name and tell you what. I'll drive it around. Just to break it in for him. You understand?
All right, I hear that.
And
wow, that's incredible, isn't it? We got a car to give away to somebody who's not even old enough to drive.
You know what? I hope we have that situation.
I do too.
That would be great.
I'm sure he has a 16th birthday coming up soon. It
Real
seems like he's been 15 forever, so.
Great shot, Steve Miner. Not intimidated by the big, powerful ball of Brian Himmler. Let's look at Steve's release. Quite a bit different. Lower backswing, stays low at the line, comes through the ball, off the bottom of the ball, really. Nice forward roll, 1-3 pocket. Boom, out of there. 7-pin, catch you later.
Likewise, Steve Miner also has a 300 game. We have all 300 bowlers today.
Another good shot.
Super.
A little wide. Now, we talk about the nice, strong roll. That particular one wasn't flush in the pocket, but the 5-pin really did its job, Jen, and hacksawed that 7 right out of there. Now, it almost looked like a slow-motion replay of what Brian Himmler's 7-pin going out looks like, but hey, it's an X, right?
Exactly. For the double. Of course, Brian has the first 3 in a row.
Wow.
Make that 4.
Wow. Intensity does pay off. Whether it's internal, external, or in Brian Himmler's case, both. The intensity pays off. What you're seeing, too, there's a lot of extra movement. A high back swing, just an absolutely incredibly powerful release. But again, it all happens during a split second as the thumb comes out of the ball and then the fingers rotate through and around the ball.
I think you can parallel his game a lot to Pete Weber. What do you
Exactly,
think?
exactly. If there's anybody on the Pro Tour that you can look at and say you duplicated, that's it. Now, I'll tell you what, we'll be right back, and I don't think anybody should go away. Give us 2 and 2, and we'll see you soon. Up in normal professional manner. Brian Himmler, he's consistent. 5 strikes, 5 deliveries. Steve Miner, left lane. Good way to come back from a disappointing frame there.
Walt Sweeney's standing by, looking with great intent to Brian Himmler's 6th frame. Of course, he has brought us a silver Thunderbird. In the case of a 300 game, this should be rolled today. It's got the keys ready. Only Brian can't drive it home. But we'll work on that.
Oh, the kid is intense. You gotta like it. You might not be able to imitate it. You may not want to, but you gotta appreciate it.
Of course, Brian has never been previously on any television cast, and he's never been king, consequently, and this is his first television performance.
You hear the warming up in the background again of our champion, Don Scudder, as we watch Brian Himmler just annihilate the pocket again. Absolutely fabulous. Let's watch him on the split screen this time. I'll tell you what. Just, here he goes. Rip the bottom out of the ball. Now, he knows it's going to be in the pocket. He just wants it to carry. You like it? Too bad. Look at the veins hanging out of his neck
So,
there.
now if Brian should go on to win this match against, the next match would be Mr. Intensity against Mr. Intensity Jr. or something
About
like that?
30 years difference in, or 20 years difference in age. Sorry, Don.
Steve Miner's not going to bow down now.
Steve says, nah, I'm not out of here yet, folks. I got plenty of paper left.
3 crucial frames, 8th, 9th, and 10th, in which there's a possibility of 90 pins alone in those 3 frames.
Well, Steve Miner could still strike out for 259, and Brian, again, would have to strike in every frame other than 1 to shut him out. So he's still in this thing, but he's really got to keep the pressure on Brian. But Brian's playing a game within himself right now, and I don't think the outside effects of what Steve can or cannot do at this point is really going to affect Brian. Another weak 10 out of Steve, hitting the oil a little early and backing off, and then leaving the 10. Not a bad shot at all, but a 10-pin nevertheless.
Steve Miner was on our show in 1986 in the finals. He was the runner-up. This is his 3rd time qualifying at Harrison Bowl for the King. 78, 88, and 89.
I'd like to thank our statistician today for kind of sitting in and helping us out, Mr. McGill, Tim. I don't know. He was nice enough to be drafted in a position and not run away. So we appreciate his help on the scoring. With Tommy being gone, we're a little short-handed, but hopefully we're not taking anything away from you at home. Brian Himmler, 8th frame, perfect through 7. Not perfect in 8. Pulled the ball badly that time. There wasn't enough oil. Wasn't enough oil in the Persian Gulf to hold that that ball off the head.
Cute.
As an international comment, I'll probably get some sort of mail about that. Just a completely errant shot, but again, the powerful ball breaks up the split, leaving a very simple spare, the 9 pin. Puts it away.
So Miner or Steve, he can still go out for 238, and which means the kid will have to fill a couple frames here to lock him out.
Yep,
Fill him up.
a couple of spares would do the job. Don't think Brian Himmler's on here because he just happens to be a good athlete and he just happens to bowl good. He works hard at his game, well-schooled, very intense, as we said, and that puts the cap on it, folks. That puts the cap on it. Brian Himmler, as we look at the score sheet, even if he would open at this point, would have 240 something, and the best Steve Miner can do at this point is 238. But I'm sure he's going to give it a whirl. 238 looks pretty good as a final score.
Qualifying next week will be going on at Stones Lane Saturday and Sunday, starting at 9 on Saturday and 10:30 on Sunday for men and women. We also have a youth category in which they can win scholarship funds. So we'd like to encourage all our youth to get out and give her a shot. Of course, you can call the BPA office at 761-9274 on Monday to make your reservation. Be sure you get a spot. And we'd also like to encourage a little open bowling. Most centers have open bowling starting at 9:30 at night on the weekends. You can call and make your reservation there. Get out and have a little fun.
Even weekdays anymore. It's fun to get out during the week. You're not doing anything. You don't feel like crashing the sack at 10 o'clock. Come on, grab your shoes. Come on out to a local center. A lot of fun to be had in local centers. And BPA's got a lot of them. And they've all got a lot of 14K just chilling up and ready to go.
Maybe some Little Kings. My favorite.
Yours and mine, too. Steve Miner, the nemesis today, his 10-pin. Brian Himmler will go on to meet Mr. Intensity against Mr. Intensity of 20 years difference.
This is going to be a great match.
I'm going to have to put the wide-angle lenses on the camera to keep track of all these guys. Now, Brian here in the later stages on the right-hand lane, the tug area that he had earlier seems to be disappearing. Now, Brian should very much try to make this spare and to experiment with a line change on his fill ball to see if he can catch a little bit more hold. Let's see if he can do that. Now, let's see if he makes a move on this next one. Moves a little deeper with his feet. Logical move would be 2 boards to the left with his feet, 1 board to the left with his mark to catch a little bit more oil and a little bit more hold.
And of course, he still will end up with 259 if he strikes here.
Tough
coming
break.
off 256 his first game for his first 2 appearances ever on television bowling. It's incredible.
He did move in. Did move in and absolutely fried the rack. 1 rack fried, medium rare. And we'll be rare in a few minutes, but stay tuned. 259 wins it, 237 a runner-up. We've got one more game, and it's going to be a barn burner. And we see 3 important people. Tony Plank in the blue seat. Musical chairs. There we go. Walt Sweeney just moved into the captain's chair. Tom Murphy behind him, continually trying to sell the game of bowling. Tom does a great job of that. Welcome back, too. Tommy's been a little ill lately. Glad to see him. Don Scudder starts our championship match on the left lane. Whew. Got a break.
Saw that shot last week.
Really looked like he was pumped up, ready to go. He threw that ball hard.
Sure did.
Head pin came off the wall, took the 5 pin out. It's got a simple spare to shoot.
We'd also like to thank the Hudipole distributor for this area. It's Pessler Distributors and Doug Pessler and Ray Canoe, who are somewhere back here. We'd like to thank them for coming out and supporting us today. Brian Himmler's 2-game total is 516. Just needs a clean 200 for
Awesome.
700 series for his first performance.
That ain't all bad.
That's how he got 516 for 2 games. He's going to continue in that tradition. I think that move he made in that last frame gave him good anticipation into this game.
That's right, and you just always have to maximize your opportunities, and if you've got a free shot somewhere in a match, you really do have to take it. I'd like to take just a minute to congratulate old Tom Fuzzy Jones. Tom bowled 300 in the city tournament. I think it was this week. Congratulations, Fuzzy. Those are hard to get.
Brian Himmler up on the left lane with the strike up in the first. Wham! Another one. Boy, he's really hot. You know, and I'd like to say that even though Brian is 15, we can't knock the youth program of which he's come out of. Not every kid can do what he's done at 15. And you should maximize, you know, your years in the youth program because it's very constructive. He's an exceptional young kid.
There's an exceptional old kid. Stone 8 on a great, great shot. Let's take a look at it, see if we can see what happens here. Normally on a solid 8, the 5 pin is going to go in front of the 8. 5 pin, second one back, middle of your screen. Now there, the ball's just hitting it. You see it going right in front of the 8 pin. That's what normally happens, and that's what happened. And that's what normally happens when Don Scudder shoots a 1-pin spare.
Oh, no doubt. He's one of the great spare shooters in the game today.
That's right. He's going against one of the... I don't know, he's too young to call him great yet, but I tell you what, he's awfully impressive. He's got a lot to prove over the next several years, but I'm telling you, he's got all the tools he needs. If he stays healthy and he stays smart, he's going to be a very, very good bowler in this town, or anywhere for that matter. Don Scudder answering again with a strike on the left lane.
Brian, even though he is 15, he's really very mature for his age. And I think the youth program that I was talking about before is one reason why he is so sharp at such a young age. He's traveled around Ohio, gotten into a lot of tournaments, got some scholarship money, and here he is. Little high, couldn't trip that 4 out.
Our champion from last week, Don Scudder, was employing some of Riga Kalfas's technique right there. He was sitting just to the right of Brian with his head down, not watching. Let's see if he does that again. He tried to bowl within himself. There you go. Just trying to stay within your own game and not let what your opponent does affect what you do. Not raising his head until he hears the pin. You know, some negative ways that can affect you, Jen. I don't know if it ever bothered you, but if you're bowling a 1-pin or a 1-game match and your opponent happens to get a fortunate break, let's say on a head that he or she shouldn't have carried, sometimes that can take a little bit out of you.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
You know, you start figuring, why me? You know, why does this have to happen to me? Well, that's just the way it is.
10 frames sometimes just isn't enough to even out. But in most cases, I would say it is. Look at that.
Let's take a look at it and his eyes. The intensity here again is evident. The lips just absolutely riveted shut, and at the bottom of the swing, a little bit of a grunt and a maximum release. And these pins have no other choice but to get the heck out of the way.
I thought that was Mike Singletary for a minute. Was I wrong? I just like those eyes.
Oh no. Oh no.
Hey, Don made this last year on our show.
On the right lane. Yeah, it hides lanes as a matter of fact. 4-9. A ball that he eased up with a little bit. Let's take a look at it here if we can. A 4-9. What happens here is that the ball cuts off sharply going through the pocket and actually goes to the left of the 9 pin. It's about a half an inch or a quarter of an inch away from being a strike. Instead, it's a split and not an easy one. Remember, only makes it about 3 out of 10 times.
Look out. Not quite enough.
A little bit too much oil going across the lane.
Don Scudder is an investigator. The investigator. Maybe it's not Mr. Intelligent.
Inspector Clouseau. No. He's not clumsy. I'm not implying that at all. He's just a super fun guy. And a great bowler. And to come back after a bad break like a 4-9 and rivet one home for a solid strike, that tells you a lot about him. Score sheet we're going to see. It's going to show Mr. Bryan in the lead here by, probably about 30.
21?
Well, almost 30-some pins, Jen, if he happens to capitalize on this next strike. And the way he's hammering him home here, that's a distinct possibility. Don Scudder, there you see him sitting on the bench, head down, as we pointed out before. Smack. Get out of town. I knew he was good, and I knew he'd do well, but he's even impressing me. And it took the Niagara Falls to impress me, Jen. I had to see them before. Canadian side was the only impressive part about the falls. The American side, I said, So I walked over and said, yeah, that's Brian Himmler, sure. Kid is good. He's going to be around for a lot of years. Just stay healthy, Brian, and we're going to have another premier bowler out of Cincinnati.
He's up 32 pins at this point in the game.
Whew.
I think that's 42. Confident.
Oh, we're seeing a lot of things today, folks. We're seeing a lot of things today. That ball, no human being should have struck on, but the revolutions created the 6-pin coming out of the channel and just took the 10 out. Anybody else, it would have been a weak 10.
You can be sure Don Scudder's going to be right in the pocket this round. Don't let him get away too far.
No. Don Scudder's like a Cincinnati cold. It doesn't go away right away.
Well, you're clever today, Dave. I'm telling you.
Why?
Got all the lines.
I hired a writer. In Tommy's absence, I knew I'd need a few, so...
Very good, very good.
Don Scudder on the left lane, as we can see, is not giving up. He knows that his opponent can make a mistake. He's human. Mr. Intensity. Left lane. It's close. There you go.
He trips that
Look at the reaction there. Look at the reaction there. It's almost like in your face, right?
You got it.
The balls are intimidating each other, and what we're seeing here is great sportsmanship between the two players. The slapping of the hands on the way back. I mean, that's great.
It's the name of the game. It's competition.
Now, we're not really sure that they're pulling for each other. As a matter of fact, I can safely say they're probably not. But on the outside, they're not wishing each other any bad misfortune either. They just want to go up and make the best shot they possibly can. Look at it. Oh, the move worked.
Brian's going at a good 250 pace now. If he goes all the way out, he's at 279, which gets him darn near close to an 800 series for 3 games.
32 pins up as we speak. 32 pins with 3 frames to go with a guy that's lined up and 14 revolutions before the ball hits the lane. It's going to be tough. That's an exaggeration. I know, but it's going to be tough to beat, even for a champion as strong as Don Scudder.
It's wide.
Yeah, it's wide. It's wide, and look what happens. The extreme power of the ball, Jen, just too much to go to. Let's take a look at it here on the replay. Jen called it. Yes, it was wide, but that super turn, maximum revolution, head pin center your screen, going to go to the left wall, come off, kick the 4 into the 5, and then in there. There you see it.
Unbelievable.
Plus 32 and climbing. 2 frames to go. 3 for Mr. Scudder, and he's got to have X's. He's got to have all X's to even be in this match.
And of course, Don, as we said before, he's an investigator. He's single, and his average presently is 219. And I can tell you, you can't meet a nicer guy. I wouldn't want to bowl him for any amount of money, but off the lane, he's a super nice guy.
You know, that's like saying my girlfriend, she's got a really nice personality. Now, come on,
Dead giveaway or something like that.
Don Scudder's got a lot of talents. One of them happens to be bowling, and we're watching him.
Yes.
We're watching him display those talents today. He's going to put it on Brian. He's going to make him work. Let's look at it on the replay. Don Scudder's not going to turn over a shovel full of dirt and say, I'm out of here yet. There you go. 1-3, flush it out of here. 10 in the pit. Every pin doing its job. Brian Himmler has an opportunity to put this match away with a couple of strikes.
Don Scudder still with a 247 potential.
Whoa. Whoa. He's been maxed out all day, guys, but I'll tell you what, watch this. He physically comes off his feet to throw this one. Look at it, just comes right up off the ball. Just maximum turn revolution. Yeah, it's going to hold. Sure, Bri. No problem. You're out of here, 4-pin. And this one belongs to Brian Himmler, and boy, did he earn it. If he shoots 279 this game, let's see, what do we got?
Darn near close to 8, 790, don't we?
790 something.
Tim McGill, our statistician, once again, he's going to help me out with this one.
No, didn't get the light shaker that time. I tell you what, until today, a teammate of mine from Thursday night, the Wright brothers team on Thursday, I think we're like 62-5. We're doing all right.
Wow.
Yeah, we're doing okay. But John Kibbe was the youngest player to ever appear on King of Bowling prior to Brian Himmler today, and he was 16 years old.
Oops. Uh-oh.
246. I tell you what, if Don Scudder can strike out in the 10th frame, he will win by 1 pin. Look at
And you
Brian.
can be sure Don's going to be close. He jumped up out of his seat when Brian missed that spare.
Brian, I tell you what, nobody could be more disappointed by missing a single pin spare, and nobody could take advantage of it like this guy. Like we said, Jen, you never, ever count Don Scudder out.
Never.
The situation is this: a strike and 9, he ties. A double, he wins by 1 stick.
Don Scudder just thrives on this sort of situation.
Look at him. You bet he thrives on it. If you could hear the wheels cranking.
It's close.
Yep.
Oh.
Weak 10. Got the ball in just a hair. Let's see if we can pick it up on a replay here. He really gave him a shot. Gets the ball in just a little bit of his target, not the good clean roll that he's thrown the other time. 6-pin is going to go to the right here. That's the 6-pin going to the channel. It tried to come out, but just didn't have enough on it. Brian Himmler goes to win anyway, but I'll tell you what, thank Don for some real thrills here towards Scudder. I'd like to just ask you a quick question. At the second ball in the 10th, what'd you do on that one?
I just lost the ball, and at the bottom of the swing, I was worried too much about getting the ball down the lane, and I think maybe my timing was just a little off in the second or third step, and I just lost the ball.
Well, you bowled great last week and this week. Brian, 761 was your total. $750, pretty close. Analogy, that's the third highest total ever on the King of Bowling. Congratulations. You showed a lot of poise out there in the lanes today. How'd you feel?
Well, I felt really confident. The first couple shots I was a little fast, and then I started to calm down as the show went on, and that was the key. And the lanes were really conducive to the way I bowl. So.
Obviously so. You look super. We'll be glad to look at you again next week here on the BPA King of Bowling. Make sure you join us noon on Channel 5.